This is the M151A1 quarter-ton utility truck, the latest model of the basic M151, a rugged, compact vehicle designed to increase the Army's cross-country mobility. It is more than a simple utility truck, however. Special versions of the M151 include the M718 frontline ambulance, a carrier for special weapons such as the light machine gun, or the 106mm recoilless rifle carrier, the M151A1C. The M151A1 can be equipped with a fording kit for beach landings and fording streams, or a communications vehicle, among others. A versatile vehicle, but regardless of how it is used, the general operation is similar within the family of the M151. You can drive it safely under any conditions, or you can let the vehicle take over and make you an accident statistic. Most of these statistics prove that the vehicle does not cause the accident. The driver does. Tests conducted by the Army graphically prove this point. Here in slow motion is an M151A1 being driven over a ramp at 15 miles per hour. Note the sharp steer to the left. This is at 15 miles an hour. Now watch the action repeated at 40 miles per hour with the wheels fixed straight ahead. This proper positioning of the steering wheel prevents the vehicle from turning over. As the driver, you must understand all the characteristics of your vehicle to operate it in the safest and most efficient manner. A careful, patient program of research, testing, and usage has proved the M151 to be a superior tactical vehicle with vastly improved cross-country mobility. It is much more mobile and maneuverable than any of its predecessors. It is lighter, faster. The steering responds quicker. It is a much smoother ride with little body pitch and lean, thanks to the suspension system. And generally, it is much more stable than any of its predecessors. But this stability can be lost by abrupt turns and/or excessive speeds. When you drive faster than road conditions warrant, you're inviting the possibility of a sudden maneuver, which will surely strain the stability limits of your vehicle. Overall, the outstanding feature of the M151A1 and its prime purpose is its cross-country mobility. Designed primarily for rough terrain, the M151 has special characteristics. Instead of the solid axles used in most standard passenger cars, all four wheels are independently suspended. The rear suspension pivots from mounts near the center of the vehicle. This allows the angle of the wheels to change when they adjust to road conditions, resulting in improved cross-country mobility and a smoother ride. The independent rear suspension produces an oversteer condition. What does this mean to you? It means that in addition to the steering effect of the front wheels, you also get some additional steering from the rear wheels. You must be careful to avoid an abrupt steering action at high speeds. In a standard American passenger car, a turn in the road might require you to turn the steering wheel 6 inches. In an M151, the same turn might require you to turn the steering wheel only 2 or 3 inches. So you see, there is a quicker steering response in the M151. Even on a straight road, you must be careful to avoid oversteering. Most accidents occur on straight roads because of abrupt steering actions by you, the driver. Let's see what happens. If you're driving too fast on a straight road and make an abrupt turn, you may begin to skid. The rear end will swing. If it swings to the right, the left rear tire may leave the road and cause you to lose control of the vehicle. Steer right. And down. Remember, you must not oversteer. If the rear end swings left, steer left. And slow down. Again, don't oversteer. Oversteering is just as dangerous as the skid itself. This is important, so let's repeat it. If the rear end, steer right and decelerate. If the rear end skids left, steer left and decelerate. As in every skid, only tap your brake. Jamming hard on the brake will increase your skid and may result in your turning over. It is no trick for a standard American passenger car to make a fairly abrupt turn even at a good rate of speed. It is set relatively low, has a longer wheelbase and wide tread, and unlike the M151, it is designed only for operation over improved roads. Further, the solid axle rear suspension means that the steering comes from the front wheels only. In a passenger car, two conditions occur which give you, the driver, a seat-of-the-pants feel of how the car is reacting to the turn. The first condition is an obvious tilt of the vehicle's body, and the second is the tendency of the front end to plow out of or away from the turn. These two conditions are warnings that you're traveling too fast. As the driver of the M151, you do not have such early warnings that the vehicle is approaching its stability limit. You get a flat ride with very little tilt. If you wait for the feel of a passenger car, you could be in serious trouble because there is no such feel in the M151. The rear wheels and rear end tend to break away from the turn. And the rear inner wheel tends to lift clear of the road. To correct this, decelerate and steer into the skid, away from the turn. This is important, so let's repeat it. Since some of the steering comes from the rear wheels, on a tight turn, the rear wheels and rear end tend to break away from the turn. And the rear inner wheel tends to lift off the ground. To correct this, decelerate and steer into the skid, away from the turn. Another thing, only tap your brake just as you would on snow or ice. Jamming hard on the brake will increase your skid and may result in your turning over. It's important to remember that the M151 is a tactical vehicle designed primarily for cross-country travel. It is not intended for high speeds on the highway any more than the passenger car is intended for cross-country terrain. Vary with road conditions. The only way to prevent the possibility of oversteering and a skid is to slow the vehicle in accordance with these conditions and be ever alert to your speedometer. The speedometer should be your constant companion when driving the M151, together with your judgment as a driver in handling the vehicle safely. Aside from the basic M151, what changes have been incorporated into other members of this family? The M718 Frontline ambulance evacuates casualties more rapidly and in greater comfort than its predecessor because of the suspension system. However, when loading patients, a single litter patient must be placed on the bottom rack. Otherwise, the vehicle would become somewhat top-heavy and tend to lower its stability limit. Special weapons like the 106 millimeter recoilless rifle are mounted above the highest fixed point on the vehicle. This means that it is more top-heavy than the M151 and must be operated at a much slower speed than the M151 under the same conditions. '. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . The addition of the 106mm recoilless rifle and other special systems required the installation of auxiliary overload springs to accommodate the heavier loads. With the weapon removed, extreme caution must be exercised in driving the vehicle. It becomes obvious that this vehicle should be used only as a weapons carrier. Note that without the weapon, the vehicle has a different wheel angle. The M416 is the only approved cargo trailer for the M151. But remember, the trailer has no brakes. This means that when fully loaded, you have almost 1,400 pounds pushing behind you. Drive accordingly. The modern Army is always on the search for better and safer equipment. But in the end, it is you, the driver, who determines whether or not you will be an accident statistic. Tests conducted in the use of roll bars, seat belts, and shoulder harnesses reveal that safety cannot be guaranteed in a turnover situation. The answer is to avoid the possibility of such an occurrence. Here then are some driving tips. Learn them well. Know your vehicle. The safe driver of the M151 is a man who shows good judgment, a healthy regard for sensible safety precautions, and confidence, but never overconfidence in his abilities. Don't oversteer. The steering is more responsive than in most vehicles and requires very little steering effort. You must remember that you're getting an additional steering effect from the rear wheels. So avoid sudden abrupt turns. And if you find yourself, despite every precaution, in a skid, steer into it and slow down. If you skid right, steer right. Skid left, steer left. Let the speedometer be your guide. Watch it. Because it is tiny, drive the M151 A1C at slower speeds. It takes knowledge of your vehicle, common sense, and good driving habits by you, the driver. Then you will understand why the M151 family are the finest, most dependable tactical vehicles in the modern mobile army of today.
For more content like this, please like and subscribe.